Hello and welcome to another live episode of the Leveraging AI podcast, the podcast that shares practical, ethical ways to leverage AI to improve efficiency, grow your business, and advance your career. This is Isar Meitis, your host. And in today's episode, we are going to dive into one of the coolest capabilities AI gives us today. And that capability is actually a huge unlock to anybody who wants to start building slightly more complex AI solutions than they're building today. So, if you're just getting started on your journey of building advanced AI solutions, or even if you got started already and you're building a few things and you're doubling with it, you know that there are technical aspects that you just have to figure out. These things can be setting up an OAuth 2 to whatever system, or creating a project on Google Cloud to host whatever it is that you're trying to do, or setting up webhooks to different tools that you want to connect to. And to be fair, I don't have a clue what an OAuth 2 means. I know roughly what is required in order to create a Google Cloud project, and I definitely do not know how to set up webhooks. But I have done this multiple times. And the way I'm doing this is I'm allowing AI to do it for me. So if you're not a highly technical person, these things probably scare you. Like, I don't know what that means and I don't want to deal with it. But in many cases, once you start building more advanced solutions, it becomes a necessity. The good news is today, our guest, Chris Daigle, is going to show you exactly how to do this. He will take you step by step through the different things and how to use AI, and to be more specific, how to use an AI browser in order to set up literally any technical thing you need to set up in order for your AI automation and solution to work. Now, Chris is the founder and the CEO of Chief AI Officer. And in the past 3 years or so, he has been helping individuals and teams and companies develop strategies and the tactics on how to implement AI successfully in their businesses. Now, because of that, Chris has a very solid understanding in both the strategy and the tactics. And this is why today's episode is going to be a gold mine to show you exactly how to combine these two things together, the strategy around it, as well as the tactics and how to make it work. And like I said, on things that are usually big showstoppers to people who are not technical people. And this is why I'm very, very excited about this episode. And I'm excited to welcome Chris to the show. Chris, welcome to
Thanks,
Leveraging
buddy.
AI.
Thank you so much for
It,
the honor and opportunity. So, for
awesome.
those of you, for those of you listening, I just want to let you know, Isar was the first like AI person that I met in my career. I don't know if you remember when I was in Orlando
I
and I
did. We
reached
met
out
face
to
to
you.
face in
Yeah,
a nice restaurant in
yeah,
Orlando. Yeah,
seasons 52, I guess it was. But anyway,
I
so
agree.
we've got some history.
Yes, yes. So yeah, you and I do very similar things. We help companies in slightly different ways, but to achieve the same goal, right? On how to become an AI first company and how to be grow a business around AI and how to remove blockers from whatever you're doing right now by leveraging AI to do that. And that's why I think the topic we picked today is really, really awesome, because I think a lot of people, whether they're solopreneurs or in big, large businesses,
Yeah,
these are huge showstoppers. Like I just don't know how to do this thing. I don't even know what it means. And yes, you can go and watch 25 YouTube videos and try to follow them step by step. In many cases, it will work, but it will take you 3 to 4 hours instead of letting AI do it in 5 minutes for you.
yeah, for sure. And I think that it is important that this does apply to the solos who want to be building their own stuff or product or whatever, or the executive all the way up the chain that's like, I just don't like doing this part of my job. It'd be cool if I had an app or an automation that did this, right? So I'm not a technical person. We don't define the role of as a chief AI officer as a technical person. I see it more as an operational person, right? So that's the lens that I'm sharing this with you. And we don't have we've got a small tech team, I guess, for our own company. And we've created this culture of training people to be their own builders, right? Now, not for something that's necessarily going to be attached to sensitive information or products that we're selling, but to self-serve on solutions when it comes to this is a task in my job, or the contribution that I want to make, the deliverable I want to produce. It would be cool if I and maybe a GPT don't cut it. Maybe a prompt chain don't cut it, right? It's time to create something. So one of the first experiments that I did with this that's going to result in this framework I'm going to share with you today was we sponsor and speak at a lot of Vistage events. And if you're not familiar with
Yep.
Vistage, it's like a local CEO peer group. Um, you know, people that take their businesses seriously enough to invest in their, their peer group. And I'm very curious, like on collecting data. What's going on the front lines of AI? Like that. I know what Isar and I are up to, but we live in a bubble, man. Like the stuff that we're thinking about and talking about, like you think everybody else knows the stuff, but they don't. Um, so we started with a survey, a Google form, right? I mean, for an AI company, I guess it's a little like indie or whatever, but not on brand for how I wanted to
But it
present it.
works. It works. It's effective.
It
It's free, and
works.
it works.
Yeah. And as they say, version one is better than version none. Um,
Agreed.
but I wanted to not just capture the information because then it's stored in a spreadsheet on and I got to go, what drive folder was that in? And, oh, I got to share it with somebody else. And the extraction of intelligence from the multiple entries was cumbersome.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do was, and also like, it was like, thank you at the end of the result. There was no real value for the participant other than just to participate in the survey and the survey of collecting the data. So I said, man, it'd be great if we had some sort of like an opportunity audit or a risk assessment or something where we could ask those same questions, but there was logic behind it, and there was, you know, based on all the choices that they made, that there was a recommendation that was, oh, that's pretty good. Let me take that back to the team kind of thing that they could get on the spot.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not building that in a Google form. So uh, I found initially one of the easiest places to build was Google AI Studio for me, right?
Yeah.
And do we do screen shares in this? Or are we just talking through it
Yeah,
today? Or
100%.
okay,
100%. So I'll say two things before you jump into the screen
yeah,
share. Uh, One, for those of you who are joining us live, first of all, thank you. There's a bunch of people both
yes,
on LinkedIn and on the Zoom call. So if first introduce yourself, say where you're from, what are you trying to get out of this is, so we have a better idea on who you are. And obviously, if you have any questions to Chris or myself, please write them in the chat. I'm monitoring both the Zoom chat and the LinkedIn chat, so I'll be able to answer these questions or deliver the right questions to Chris at the right time. If you're not here live, the question is why? We do this every single Thursday with really amazing people like Chris who share really amazing knowledge. And if you are not here, well, you can still listen to us on the podcast or watch us on YouTube, but you can't ask any questions. You can't engage in network with other people. And so come and join us. We do this every Thursday at noon Eastern time. And there's a link in the show notes. So if you're just listening to this after the fact, you can use the link to join us in future episodes. The last thing that I will say, and then I'll give it back to Chris, is we are going to explain everything that's on the screen. So if you're not watching the screen right now because you're driving a car, walking the dog, washing the dishes, whatever it is that you're doing when you are listening to this podcast, it's fine. We're still going to explain everything that's on the screen.
yep. And I'll second that endorsement. Like I'm an AI professional. I'm busy. I know this stuff, but I listen to Isar's podcast. So
I
like,
appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah, for sure, man. There's high signal, low noise in this environment. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you what you're going to see is essentially the front end of Google AI Studio. I like we're a Google workspace business, so for us this is, I mean, it's free, right? It's well, we're
Yeah.
paying for it somehow, but it's not like an extra charge or anything like that. So if you have a Google Gmail account or whatever, if your business runs on Google Workspace and you're not using this, that's bananas. Okay, so what we see here is essentially the front page of Google AI Studio, and like most large language model or generative AI environments, it's got the dialog box where I can put in my prompt, right? So very easy, and it's got it almost looks like a custom GPT with the suggestions and all that kind of stuff, or maybe a gym, more appropriate. So let me take you into some of the stuff that we've built. So where are we? My apps. There we go. So I'll run you
I'll
through an
say one
example.
thing,
Yeah.
just one thing before we dive in. So most people in the Google universe probably know Gemini. think about this as more of the geeky side of Gemini, right? So you can do the same thing you can do in Gemini, you can do here, but you can do a lot more, such as develop entire applications or analyze entire videos or do uh, more detailed things than you can do in the regular Gemini. And the only difference is that it actually uses the API, which means you're going to pay for tokens versus in Gemini, it's kind of like included in your membership. So that's the only difference. But you can do really advanced, cool, amazing stuff with a user interface that looks like a regular chat.
Mhm. So for me, going back to that AI opportunity audit, let's call it, right? And
Yeah.
just let's fast forward. The tool that we're using is now like a standard part of our sales process. Like, so it started with a Google form and a good idea. I had this idea that, I wanted to be able to ingest the information from the people, use AI to process it like on the spot and give them a recommendation. Hey, based on your answers, looks like you could benefit from here, or hey, there's risk here, or whatever the case might be. We've now turned that into a kind of like part of our discovery call where we run this. So it wasn't just like a cutesy vibe coded one-off kind of thing. It's now got commercial application. But man, I've never coded anything. I had a cursor account maybe in September of 2024, and it was cool watching like all the code show up, but I couldn't ever get anything to work. It was, um, it was a glimpse, and I think if you're involved in AI, you don't get discouraged when something doesn't work because you know that like it's just a matter of time before it's working really really well. So I was excited to
Yeah.
see that stuff, but again, like I'm not a coder. I didn't. I was like I'll get some use out of it. So with Google AI Studio, I just kind of went in there and like with any of these tools now, I guess I don't use Lovable or Base or any of those. I don't need to use them that often. I just told it what I wanted, kind of like a prompt, right? And I gave it a link to the Google form and that sort of thing. And so that started a process, an iterative process of me and the brain, I guess Gemini 3.1 or whatever version we were using at the time, going back and forth in iteration. And I like best practice, hell no. But when I first got started, I was like, oh, make it do this. Oh, and make it do this. There was no PRD, or if you're familiar with what that term means, there's no like
Yeah.
product plan. It was just as I was going through it, and I would encourage you to do the same thing, like eventually move to the professional stuff. But how you learn about using these things is by using these things. And if there's some intimidation about, well, I don't know how to use it, just go in there and be dumb. Hey, Gemini, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'd like to build an app that does. I have no. You do that, and what happens is, repetition is the mother of skill. You start to learn little bits here, a little bit. Oh, next time I'll do it this way. Oh, I should have asked for this, right? So I went through that process, but where I kept getting stuck was, okay, great. I'm collecting the information and I'm spitting out some info, and one of those ideas was, oh, let's send them a report. Seems pretty easy, right? Like, okay, we've already got the information on the screen. Let's send them a report. It's not. There was like if I wanted it to be in PDF, it needed to be, there was stuff that was happening like on Fire, whatever Google's database are, Firebase. And there was like all these things that were Google developer tools. And I was just like, man, I cannot let, I'm on to something here. I can't let that stop me. Now, go try and find talent on Upwork that knows how to use these AI tools. I mean, everybody claims they do, but like, you know, Isar and I, we have a discerning palate when it comes to talent on AI. So to find the right person on like Upwork or something like that ain't happening. I'm a startup. I'm not gonna be able to pay US based, New York City vibe developer rates. So it was up to me. And one of my mentors a long time ago, saying that I use all the time, if it is to be, it's up to me, right? So I had to take responsibility. If I wanted this thing to present my company well, if I wanted to capture the information so that I could action it, if I wanted to make sure that the prospects that were on, sales calls with us were having an experience like a wow experience, uh, I was going to have to figure this out. And it was about that time that I started getting into the Comet browser from Perplexity. Um, ChatGPT has Atlas. I don't use Atlas much. I'm a pro user. or max or whatever it is at ChatGPT, $200 a month. So like I'm a power user of ChatGPT, but I don't use their Atlas browser. Um, so I've been a big fan of Perplexity for, since the beginning. I've been teaching people about it since 2023 or whenever it came out, pretty much. So when the browser came out, I was particularly interested. Makes sense. I could do my little Perplexity stuff on deck. I don't have to necessarily context switch and go here and forget stuff. But it was this thing right here. If you can see my screen, it was this assistant button up here. And if you're not looking at the screen, it's a Chrome-based browser, so it looks very familiar. All your plugins that you have in your Chrome or whatever, they work here because it's Chrome-based. But Perplexity is giving this browser away for free, and one of the things that comes with it is in the upper right-hand corner. We'll call it a browser agent. It's listed as an assistant because most people are like, if I were to go to a YouTube page right now, let's try that actually, just so you can see. It's more like, speeding up the process. But if I go to assistant when I'm on let's take a look at one. Okay, so the instantly it's suggesting, do you want me to summarize this video, extract key takeaways, scroll to the next interesting moment, right? Helpful for sure. But if I want it to do something, if I want the Perplexity browser to take over my browser and perform actions for me, it can do that. I'm not going to give away some of my secrets, but like for instance, oops, I hope nobody from LinkedIn is watching, but so I use and I had, a couple hundred messages in my DM that I love LinkedIn. I love, interacting on it, but the DM thing, I'm bad at email, I'm bad at text, I'm bad at DMs. So I've now created something to where the Perplexity browser will take over this particular tab, and it'll explore the messages that are coming in and prioritize them based on opportunity and that sort of thing. Very helpful because otherwise I just wouldn't be able to do it. But now I take 30 seconds in the morning, give it its instructions, and then off to work I go. By doing that sort of thing, it hit me. It was like, oh, wait a minute. I need the OAuth too. I need the PDF like engine tied into a hosted blah, 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 right? I didn't even know what those things meant. I mean, I understood conceptually, but I didn't know all the stuff. And as Isar pointed out earlier, my options are, Plexit, I guess. Go to Perplexity. Hey, Perplexity, how do I do this? Right? I could get the instructions from the AI Studio. It was happy to give me those. Hey, give me those step by step. But even doing that, like the time just wasn't there. It ended up being projects that were like, let me get 45 minutes now. Oh, I got to do this call. Oh, let me try and get to it later and later and later and later. And it was just an open loop. And it wasn't because I wasn't clear on what I wanted. It wasn't because I didn't have something that was, viable or marketable. It was those technical skills. And I didn't have the budget or the staff, the team, the internal knowledge to be able to do those things. So it hit me. Hey, Gemini, or hey, AI Studio, I'm going to be using the Comet browser agent to do this for me. Can you give me these instructions in a way that I can copy and paste them to the browser agent and let it cook? And the entire technical world opened up to me. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but using that, it was able to set up the OAuth 2 and test it, and all the things that I would have paid a US based person, I don't know, maybe $100 an hour or more to do, maybe more if I could get on their, their clock, or hours of my time. And since then, now anytime that I'm building something, and I don't build, I say I don't build a lot, but I probably build something every week. And for me, that's not a lot, but for others, it might. And now my team is doing the same thing. Anybody who's on my team that has that idea, they already know how to do what we call think in AI, right? But now they're thinking in builds because they have access. Everybody in the company uses the Comet browser here and the agent to help them build these things. And now with clients, we're building MVPs. Any of our chief AI officers are now building MVPs in a couple of hours. And before it was like, okay, get your requirements together. Let's get it over to the dev team. And there was just this big lag time. I have set stuff up on Cloudflare. I have, uh, everything inside of the Google API environment. I I have done it, I guess. I mean, I've led the doing of through these agents. And here's the beautiful part about using this is that, okay, I've got this tab open. I want to do something with, I want to do something with setting up a database so that I can store all of these answers and I can ship them out to people when they put in their email address. I can capture the opt-in and all that stuff, right? A lot harder than it sounds when you're building from scratch. Um, but the 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 gap between me having the idea and me being able to launch something because of this particular tool has been compressed to a 30-minute session. No kidding. I mean, now again, am I saying that your first time out? Hell no. Like I spent hours and you will too if you get into this stuff. The first few times it's hours and it's like, you know, breaks or whatever, but it's enough. Even as a brand new user, there's enough confirmation from the device, from the models, from the tools that you're like, you know what? I can do this. Like there's just a couple of things that I didn't know, but now I know them. Let me try again, and then you're gonna land it. I was gonna
Awesome.
go.
I want to pause you
Yeah,
just for 1 second to
sure.
add a few things that I think are, first of all, this is fantastic, right? So just for those of you, as a quick summary and recap, you get to a point that there's a technical aspect in the process that you do not know how to do. And the AI in whatever tool you're using, again, in this case, we're talking about Google AI Studio, but this could have been Claude, this could have been anything else. And he tells you, oh, now you need to set up this thing. I'm like, I don't know what this is. What Chris is doing, say, okay, give me the instructions of exactly what needs to be done and what it needs to be set up to. And then he takes that instructions and he gives them to a browser-based AI tool that can take over the browser. And then it can actually do the thing. So it doesn't tell you what to do. And by the way, using Perplexity a lot, it happens a lot. Like Perplexity, the assistant in the browser said, oh, to do this, you need to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And no. You do this. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then he takes over the browser and actually goes and does the thing.
Yep.
A few things about variations of this, or I say one thing that is a variation of this, and the other is a um, is the concept that I think people have to think through. The variation of this, I build most of my stuff in Claude. And by the way, same thing for Gemini, but Claude has its own browser controller. So it's the same exact thing, but it's a Claude extension.
Yes.
It opens on the side, but Claude Cowork and Claude Code know how to control it. What it saves me is copying and pasting the instructions or copying and pasting the results back to, in this particular case, Google AI Studio. So I just work with Claude Code or Claude Cowork and I say, hey, you know what? Go and do this in the browser. And then it on its own will open the browser, do the thing, and figure out and set up everything. And when it gets stuck, it deals with it. I don't have to copy stuff back because the brain of Claude Cowork that is aware of the bigger thing that I'm building
Hmm.
knows what the required output is, and it goes back and forth with the browser, and I don't even have to see the browser, which is fantastic. The only times you have to go in is like pop-up screens that it doesn't have access to. Like if you need to log into something, okay, you need to log into your Google account. I can't do that. So these kind of things are the only things that require your attention. But then you just go to that browser page that's opened by Claude and you go and do the thing. So this is kind of like a cheat to get this even slightly less
Yeah.
work. The bigger thing here is, I think, the mindset, and I'll explain what I mean. We are humans are the bottlenecks to most digital work today, period. Right? So if you need to do a process, whatever that process is, whether it's writing a proposal, analyzing information, creating a form for your customers, like all these kind of things, you are the bottleneck. The more you can remove yourself further and further away from the doing, the better off you will be. You want to be the thinker, the ideator, the brain, uh, and let AI do the thing. What does that connect to? Chris talked earlier about doing this the old school way, completely manual, not acceptable, not enough time in the day, not worth your time. Second option is I'm going to wing it, which is what he suggested starting with, which I agree. is a good starting point because you learn how this thing works. I'm going to go step by step by step and try to figure this out together with AI. Step three, which you also mentioned, is a PRD, a product requirements document. Having build a process where the AI interviews you about the whole thing. What are you trying to build? What are the goals? Who's the target audience? Why is this required? What pain points does it solve for me? What kind of technology it needs to run on? Does it run on a phone? It runs on a Mac? Like, where does it need a browser? Have it ask you all these questions. Have it create a requirements document, and then give it back to the AI. Say, okay, now implement this. What happens then is you remove yourself from 80% of the process, not 100%. And that's a good thing. You want it to come back to you when it gets stuck. You want it to come back to you when there's issues. You want it to come back to you when there's decisions to be made. Like there's things you want to be involved in. But it now has a full spectrum of understanding of the different aspects, components, requirements, needs, goals, and it will do most of it on its own. So now you removed yourself another step away from doing the doing, which means you can focus on more of the right stuff, which is thinking, developing, growing, and so on. So even in the subtext of what Chris was saying, there's a lot of really, really important stuff.
Yep. Very cool. So yeah, and for those listening, the way Isar just described the way he's doing it, better than what I'm doing. So, but I'll tell you, it's good to at least have gotten some reps with all the tools, just so you know
100%.
which ones work. But there's no question that Claude Code plus Cowork plus their browser extension, I think it's because I started using Comet before
Yeah.
the Claude browser extension came out, that I don't know if I'm set in my ways or whatever, but I've got something that's workable,
No, it's
and
working amazingly well. By the way, I started
yeah,
exactly like you. I started with
yeah,
Comet. I will say one more thing about the
yeah,
Perplexity universe, Perplexity computer controller, whatever they call it. I think it's just
yeah,
called computer.
computer.
Uh, allows you to do incredible things, very very similar to what I just said to about Claude, because it now has the brains of like 10 or 12 different AI models. So
Yeah,
think about
yeah,
Claude Code, but with 12 models running behind the scenes, and it picks the right things for the right stuff. And it has browser control, and it has control over more or less anything on your computer. So it is another way to get to achieve what I described if you like the Perplexity universe, which is really, really good. Like I have
hmm
nothing against
hmm
Perplexity.
hmm
Just like you said, I kind of like planted my flag for now on the Claude universe.
yeah,
And when I say for now, that may change next week if something
yeah,
more interesting, more
yeah,
relevant, and more useful will come out. But for now, I'm in that universe. But there is a almost identical process in the Perplexity universe with their computer use solution.
yeah. So, I guess the TLDR of that story is that, as somebody who's not a technical individual, um, you don't need to be. If you can write a sentence, right, or ask AI to write the sentence for you, then you can do these things leveraging these agentic browsers or the plugins because I guess Manus has got a plugin if
Yeah,
you're a Manus junkie. Uh, OpenClaw's got a plugin for browser
yeah,
control.
yeah.
Um, so this is a thing. So if you consider yourself an AI power user or an effective user, and you're not and you're just using, maybe you say, oh, I use Atlas or I use the extension, but you're using it for the basics and you're not necessarily really putting it to work for an expertise that you don't possess. Um, you still got a little more runway before you can truly, I would suggest, call yourself an expert. Not to slight anybody. It's just, but once expanded from listen, like your mind is not going to be able to contract to its original state. You're hearing this stuff now, so it's now on you to go, okay, do I get back out of my comfort zone and go figure out a new tool? But the answer is yes. As like with any of these tools, the learning curve is designed to be fast, right? Like generative AI is my children literally can use it, right? Like that's the design behind this stuff. So as somebody who is listening to this, you're looking for opportunities to shave more time off of your, your production efforts. And this is an area where I would suggest that I use it. Like I pay the whatever the hell Perplexity charges for their top tier because exclusively because of I was running out of that agentic. Like I was just power using the hell out of it. And I'm not the technical guy. There's probably smarter ways to do all of this stuff, but trying to over engineer your AI use is not a recommended practice. I would suggest just get in there and like like me and just I'm okay being dumb. Hey, never done this before. What tools should I use? How can you help me? And the point that Isar made earlier is like it'll say, "Oh, do this." The key phrase is you type this. Can you do it for me? And it's like, "Oh, sure. Let me get to work." But the cool thing about that is about using this, whether it's the research side or it's actually pushing the buttons and doing the technical stuff for you, that happens in one browser tab. You open up another browser tab and you can have another thing happening and another thing happening and another thing happening. So it really, the limitation is going to be your cognitive processing shifting from linear to almost like hub and spoke, with you being the hub. And I need this done and I need that done and I need that done, and when that's done I need that done. That would be as compared to, okay, here's my checklist: step 1, step 2, step 3. So but once you start thinking in that manner, all of these tools, that like stacking them and figuring out like when do I use it, and I mean even as a quote unquote AI expert, right? Still, there's times where I'm like, why am I doing this manually? There's in my case 53 years of programming that has happened to where my muscle memory is not to think in AI. It's not to, I mean, it's become that way, but it's not to, hey, how can an agent do me? I mean, like, how can an agent help out with, how can multiple agents help out with multiple tasks simultaneously? So it
Yeah.
is, I guess, a learning curve a bit, but it's a fun learning curve for sure.
100%. I want to piggyback on two things you said. One, you said skills you don't possess. Uh, everybody that starts with AI starts with how can I make what I'm doing today more efficient, which is awesome. It's great. It makes you
Mhm.
more efficient. You, your team, your company, whatever the case may be. The real unlock, the real value, the bigger ROI comes from doing things you cannot do today. Either you,
Yes.
yourself, your team, your department, your company, right? This is where the bigger unlocks come. Like if you can do 3x what you're doing right now, including things you've never had the skills to do, you can make more money with the same amount of resources. This is where it gets really interesting, right? It's not by, oh, I can now write a document faster. Is I can now set up a system that uses a Google Cloud project with OAuth 2 that connects to these 3 APIs to do this thing. I
Yeah.
don't have a freaking clue what OAuth means. I don't know how to set up an account, and I don't know what an API is. But I know that all these things, the AI told me if I had them, I can do this other thing that I really want as an outcome. And now you can do that. So I love the way you phrased it, like skills I don't possess. This is the biggest thing is that. The second thing that you said in the end that I really agree with is you have to start thinking in a parallel manner, which the human brain is not geared to do
Yeah.
because historically we never needed to. And you need to become better and better in context shifting. I run at any given moment, literally any given moment, 5 to 7 different projects at the same time, all the time, always. And knowing what you did in which project, what was the last thing that happened, skimming through what the AI said, making a quick decision on what needs to be the next step so you can switch to the other 6 or 7 is a skill that we all will develop.
Yes.
The sooner you develop that, the more effective you become. Because if you're paying, and Chris is saying he's max on his plans, I'm the same way, right? Like
Yeah.
whatever the tools that I'm using, whatever the top tier, I'm gonna go there, not because I'm not showing off, because on the tier below that, I get stuck around 2 p.m. and then it tells me
Yeah.
come back tomorrow. And that's not acceptable from my perspective. And so I will pay the $200 a month, not to get stuck at 2 p.m. on the things that I'm doing. So I can run 6 or 7 projects in parallel at any given moment. Now, that means that I need to use that. And to use that, I need to be able to shift back and forth very, very quickly. And I did not know how to do this 3.5 months ago. I
Yeah.
taught myself, and now it's second nature. I don't even think about it. And so it's these things that start with two. Start with two things running in parallel and jump
Yeah.
back and forth, and then 3, and then 4. And then you'll get to the point where there's diminishing returns. So like, okay, if I go beyond, and I know that my number is like 6 or 7. If I go beyond that, then I don't actually, I leave a lot of stuff not actually running and doing anything.
Yeah.
And I'm not focused enough on the things that I'm doing. So that's kind of like my limit. Maybe yours is 20, maybe yours is 3. But you will figure it out as you try to do this more and more. Chris, this was fantastic. As I said, both on the
Thank
tactical
you.
side on how to do things, as well as a lot of really important concepts. If people want to follow you, work with you, learn from you, connect with you, listen to your podcast, you have a podcast as well.
Yeah.
What are the best ways to do that?
Podcast episode 100 is coming out in a couple weeks. It's called Using AI at Work. Love to have you take a listen. And then as far as at Chief AI Officer, we have a very active community. It's free. It's full of a few thousand non-technical business professionals who are, serious about the application of AI and the what does it mean for for the society, and how do I make more money with it? All the conversation that's happening there. And it's free. It's chiefaiofficer.com/community. So we'd love to see you there as well. And Isar, thank you so much for the opportunity. I know your audience is, they're not like, it's a good audience, smart people.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody who joined us live and both on LinkedIn and on the Zoom. I appreciate all of you. I know you have other stuff you can do on a Thursday early afternoon or whatever time it is for you. I know there's at least a few people joining from Europe every time. And so thank you all for joining us. Thanks, Chris, for, again,
Thanks, everybody.
a fantastic episode. Have a great day, everyone.